Welcome everyone. I'm really excited that all of you are here today. Today we have with us Sereena Morrison, the CEO of Krystallized Makeovers. She's not only a talented celebrity makeup artist, as you saw in the brief video that we showed you, but she's also a dedicated mentor and business leader who understands what it takes to build brands from scratch. So she has about 7 years of experience in the industry, and that's something that we'll try to uncover, with experience, especially an entrepreneurial experience. There's so many insights that we would like to uncover from her experience. She has mastered the balance of artistry and entrepreneurship, so that's really unique, entrepreneurship in the context of makeup industry. So to start, Sereena will give us a brief presentation, and then I'll sit with her and we'll engage in a fireside chat. All right, and in the end, we'll open the floor to Q&A from students. All right, so over to you, Sereena.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Sereena Morrison. I am a 25-year-old celebrity makeup artist. Literally, I was in your seats about less than 2 years ago, right? So I want to speak a little bit about some lessons from my entrepreneurship journey. As he said, I have 7 years of experience. I graduated from John Jay College of Criminal Justice with a sociology degree and a minor in Africana Studies. I ran my business full-time while in college. So for the agenda, we're going to speak on balancing college and business, just starting and not needing to have the full answers to start your business, the entrepreneurial mindset, and the freedom to fail and learn. So first, let's talk about balancing college and business. One of the frequent questions that I get asked is, how did I manage to balance having a business and running it full-time with makeup artistry, and then also being a full-time student, right? A busy schedule forces efficiency. That's one of the things that I learned. I learned that because I may not be the best at creating my own schedule and having my own deadlines, and I'm a chronic procrastinator, I realized that getting involved in extracurriculars that formed my schedule for me helped me to be efficient with my time, right? So if I knew I had a Black Student Union meeting or had to be a part of student government at a specific time, I knew that my schoolwork had to be done between 1:30 and let's say 3 p.m., right? So being involved and stretching my capacity really helped with forming a schedule for me. I couldn't procrastinate, literally. Time management isn't about having more time, it's about using your time wisely. And I'm standing here today not as someone who landed, but still struggles with this. But again, I realized that having more things into my schedule helped to create a schedule that did not allow for procrastination. Limited time forces intentionality. Every hour matters, and again, time management is about maximizing the time that you have, not finding more of it. You can go to the next slide. Just start. You don't need all the answers. You don't need your management, your assistant, whatever it is that you're thinking. Before I start, let me get these things in order. You don't need all of it, right? 100% of the shots you don't take are 100% of the shots that are missed, right? So for me, I've been doing this for 7 years, but I literally just got an assistant sometime last year, still looking for a manager. And I tell you that to say, sometimes with social media, with being connected to people that seem like they're just doing grand things, they don't have it all figured out, y'all. Like, we're literally all just going along the way and trying to figure things out along the way. So go as you grow. As you grow, go as you grow, right? Some things will be figured out along the way. Little pieces and additions to the puzzle will be added. Do not wait until you have it all figured out, whatever that looks like in your head, to start your business. Speak highly of your business, right? A lot of things that tend to happen is when you first start off your business, people try to little business it. How's your little business going? How's this going? Is it still, like, what's happening with that, right? Speak about your business with confidence and vision. People treat your business the way you treat your business, right? So if you're lax about it, if you don't care much about it, that will show, and it will show in the type of customers that you get and receive. Speak with confidence. Use words like upcoming, rising, expanding. Your language matters. When I pitched myself to major artists, I sold myself as the best, even when I wasn't 100% sure yet. How many of y'all heard about faking it until you make it? Right? Literally. Fake it until you make it. Don't wait until you believe you've arrived, especially when there's things like imposter syndrome and all these negative things that attack our minds, right? Do not wait until you arrive to speak about your business very, very highly. The next thing I want to talk about for those who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs or don't have your own business is an entrepreneurial mindset. The mindset is about solving problems and being solution-oriented, right? In a world where we see many, many problems and people are searching for answers, having an entrepreneurial mindset means, listen, I'm coming with the solutions to a problem. There's enough people speaking about what's wrong. What can I add to an equation? What can I bring to a room that brings solutions? That comes with being innovative, and the way to start with that is, hey, how can I fix this? One thing that me and my sister always do is that when we're going through regular things in life, right? And let's say it's raining outside and I have an umbrella. I'm like, yo, why didn't I think to invent an umbrella? That's very practical, but that just gives you context to what I mean in regards to bringing about solutions. There's things in this world that need solutions, that need answers, and I believe that every single person in this room can be solution oriented and can have those solutions that's needed. You have the answer. You are capable of bringing answers and solutions into spaces. Each and every one of us are different. We're individuals that aren't like the person that's next to us, right? What can you bring to a room that's different? Be your individual, unique self. Come with solutions. Come with the things that come to your mind. Don't silence or muzzle your own mouth because the person next to you brings other ideas that may seem more valuable, right? Fail forward. Try, fail, and learn without huge consequences. Your age is an asset. Use it to try out bold, radical ideas. I believe that you all are at the age where it's like, if you were to embark on a new journey, if you say, hey, I'm completely changing my mind about this thing, your age is low-key a cushion, right? Because if you're in your 40s, shout out to people in their 40s in this room. But when you're a little older, right, there's more things that are attached to your decisions. But now is the time to explore. Now is the time to try out different things and to fail forward, right, without having those consequences attached, without having big bills to pay or multiple children, right? This is the age where you could do things, you could do crazy, radical things, and people would be like, listen, they're in their 20s, right? It won't be as risky. Being relatable sells. People connect with authenticity. People connect with it, right? So back to what I was saying earlier about being solution-oriented and walking into spaces and bringing answers and solutions, right? People connect with being able to see a process and being relatable to you, right? Everyone is an individual and everyone is different. So how do I show people, how do I help people buy into this process? Let's say I want to sell cakes or I want to sell some type of baked goods, right? Showing people where you mess up, showing people like, hey, this cake turned out crazy and it's actually very nasty. But hey, I'm working on it. Like, this is something that I'm working on. People don't just want to see end results. And if I'm honest, the reason why, especially when I was in college, I struggled with comparison and I also struggled with feeling like I wasn't at a certain point is because with social media, we only see an end result. We only see end results. So one thing that's really beautiful about each and every person in this room is that you have the opportunity to change that narrative, to show people your process, to show people the good and the ugly, right? So yeah, and of being authentic and relatable really, really sells. So lastly, this is my Instagram page. It's Krys Makeovers. The full name is Krystallized Makeovers. Would love for you guys to connect with me if you'd like to. If not, it's cool. But yeah.
All right, so this is great. Again, so many nuggets of very valuable advice that you shared with us. I would really like to start from the very beginning. So help us understand, like your background, like where did you grow up?
Yeah.
What were your influences when you were even younger?
Yeah, so I was raised in a strict Jamaican household. Very, very strict, right? And when I was around the age of 16, I remember my high school was having a Christmas recital or a Christmas show. I went to Cardinal Spellman. And we were having a Christmas show, and I'm like, it would be cute if I could just spice up my look a little bit, right? I was a basketball player. I wasn't really into makeup per se, but I knew I wanted to look different. Took my dad's card with his permission, and I bought an eyeshadow palette. Fell in love with the colors and just being able to have that creative freedom. I knew that being in a strict household, there wasn't much that I could do. Couldn't go to the Sweet 16s, couldn't be outside with my friends. And I felt like makeup was that one avenue and outlet for me to do whatever I wanted creatively and just have fun with it. So that's how it started.
Excellent. And you did mention authenticity, and I get a sense of authenticity in your response. So being different. Can you elaborate on the importance of that one idea, being different, but then actually pursuing that idea to actually, implementing that in your life? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I'd say being comfortable with being different starts with really identifying who you are. Who am I, right? When I walk into different spaces, what remains the same about me? Especially being in rooms with various celebrities, there are enough people that go into these rooms and change their complete personality. Right there, their thermometers as to thermostats. Be a thermostat. Don't be a thermometer, right? Be confident in who you are. Be confident in what you're about and what you stand on. Because with that attracts the right people. It attracts people that share similar values as you. It attracts people that understand and respect you as a person. And it's just something that you can truly say like, hey, I'm different and I'm different for a reason. So there's enough people out here that look exactly the same, that do the same exact things, but what exactly can make me stand out? What about me that's already inside of me can make me different in different spaces?
Great. And what about your schooling and your college days? Like, were there any influences that you had during that time, either people or ideas that shaped the person that you have become?
Yeah, so ever since high school, I always knew I was a leader, but I didn't know in what capacity, right? So when I was in college, I was president of the Black Student Union, participated in student government and many different extracurriculars. And one person that really, really, really influenced me was my mom, cliche, but my mom. She told me like, hey, you could do this and that, right? You could be a full-time student and still run your business. The sky is quite literally the limit, right? So that helped me tremendously throughout my college process. And then also, while I was at John Jay, I realized that the gift of administration was just all my life. Like I was really good at organizing different things and bringing people together. So once I graduated and was like, I want to do this entrepreneurship thing full time, I attributed those same skills that I learned in college to my business, right? Nothing wasted. I'm really big on, if I experience something, I gotta use it for something, right? Like things don't just happen for a reason. So that was a beautiful thing with going from college, academia, and then transitioning into full-time entrepreneurship.
Great. And then as you were going through these experiences, did you already have this career path in your mind, or did you stumble upon it? How did you actually get onto this specific path?
I absolutely did not have this career path in mind. I was like, listen, I'm going to school for sociology, and maybe I'll do some type of governmental work. I really wanted to be, and still want to be, a mayor one day, like working in different spaces. And that, man, I'm sidetracked a little bit.
And that's what we actually want to hear, because many a times people have these competing interests
Yes,
almost,
yes.
and then still they have to make a choice. So even with that, let's say public administration, what interest did you have that led you towards that having your interest, public administration and being the mayor someday?
Yeah, so while I was in high school, I realized that I really had a passion for advocating for those who were silenced, right? And really representing marginalized communities in different spaces. So I was like, the best way to do that is through getting within the system, right? And figuring out a way to, again, be solution oriented, bringing answers and solutions for those who need it the most. So literally makeup artistry and what I thought I was gonna do is night and day, right? Fulfilling something that's creative is not where I'm at right now. But the beautiful thing about life is that we do not have to know exactly what we want and exactly what we're doing when we're in high school and college. That's one thing that I wish somebody had told me. Like, there's this pressure when you go around and you ask your friends, you're like, yo, like, what do you want to do with this degree? They're like, I want to be a lawyer. That's cool, but 9 times out of 10, like, we don't fully know for sure. We're still exploring ourselves in college, right? We're still trying out different things, so that, yeah.
And I actually absolutely agree with you, because I think our society values certainty.
Yeah.
You always are expected to have the right answer, and if you do not have the right answer, you almost feel like, okay, I mean, this person is clueless, they are confused. And I think society does value us having answers all the time. But again, even my experience has taught me that's not always the case. So even now, as students, the positions that you are holding right now, if you are not very certain, that's absolutely okay. And what's required is that you find mentors, you find other influences that actually help you, chart that right path for you. Right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yes. Really, 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 really good, especially the part about society valuing people having it all together, right? But what tends to happen is people get their foot into what they thought they were longing to do, or maybe listen to their parents, right? Caribbean household. My mom was like, listen, doctor, lawyer, nurse, like those were the options, right? But oftentimes we're not spoken to about figuring things out along the way. Yes, have a plan, but there's something about just taking one step and then taking another and exploring in this area and trying out this thing, right? And I think even in college with interning and having different opportunities to do that, that helped me out a lot, because I thought I wanted to do law until I got an internship related to that. I was like, right? Yep. So I'd say, like, try not to be stubborn in what you think you want to do. Like, leave room for exploration, leave room for discovery, leave room for trying out different things, so that you'll be closer to knowing who you are and also what you do and do not want to do for a career.
Great, and you just mentioned that you took up a number of leadership positions even when you were in school. Is that more of an inherent trait that you have, or was it maybe your parents were having those expectations from you? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I say it was inherent because my parents were more so concerned about the outcome and the end goal of a thing as opposed to the process to getting to that. So they didn't really care for internships and all that. It was just like, hey, like, you could do that if you want, but get straight A's, right? But there was something inside of me that was like, I have to explore. And then also there was a part of me that was like, after I graduate, I want to have something that's solid and secure post-graduation. And yeah, that's the reason why.
So again, along those lines, I'm trying to explore, with your current business, right? Are there some things that are innate, as in, some entrepreneurial aspects that you just feel you were you always had them? And are there some other aspects that you had to learn the hard way as you engaged in entrepreneurship?
So one thing that I knew I was good at prior to starting entrepreneurship was being creative and making people laugh. That's one thing that I knew I was good at. So when it came to the content creation part of the thing and really bringing up my Instagram page, like, that came naturally, that was innate. Another thing that came naturally was customer service, right? Before starting entrepreneurship, I worked at Staples, at Stop and Shop, and I had to interact with people and give them decent customer service, right? So that was another thing that was somewhat innate. But the thing that challenged me the most was setting boundaries within my business, right? And then setting boundaries with family members. Sometimes when people see that you're embarking on a new journey, they want everything for free. Everything for free.
That's true.
Yeah, they want things for free, and I had to set that boundary where it was like, listen, smiles don't pay the bills. You have to pay, but also when it came to speaking with different clientele, like blocking off my time so that I wasn't texting back a client at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. I think one thing about full-time entrepreneurship is that it's often said that that never turns off. Like a 9 to 5 is beautiful because at 5 p.m. you leave and you come back home and don't worry about it. But sometimes if we don't set those boundaries, it's like you're working all day, which nobody likes.
Exactly. And I really like you mentioned, sending texts or emails late in the evening. I would like for you to highlight how much of an importance you give to professionalism, because that's something that I would want students to know more about. So importance of professionalism within the within the context of your business.
Yeah, so I saw a post on Instagram, which is so real. I'm gonna twist it a little bit because I don't remember word for word. But it basically said that your craft and your talents will get you in the room. Your character and your professionalism will keep you in a room. So that was one of the things
That's very good.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really realized. A lot of people are really good at what they do. They're really good at what they do. They may be even more experienced than you. But with that professionalism and that just that great character, that's what's going to keep you in rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. And then another thing is especially with creative endeavors, right? You have a very robust social media presence. When you were starting with Instagram as an example, were there any inhibitions that you had, or were you always confident putting out content out there? Because that's something that a lot of students struggle with as they're still exploring themselves and the confidence within. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so when I first started off, I knew my work wasn't good. It actually looked crazy. It looked crazy.
And was it your own objective assessment, or were you being excessively humble there?
No, it really looked crazy. People would tell me this ain't it, girl.
But it's good to have people like that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I wish one thing that I did more was didn't look at my work and wish it was at a certain point to the point where I deleted stuff. I and everyone loves to see a process. Everyone loves to see this is where I was and this is where I am now. So one thing I can say to that is value where you are now as the was, right? For this is where I was. Create content, do the things, track your college process, wherever you are. This isn't just for entrepreneurs, right? Track where you are so that years from now you could look back and say hey, everything actually worked out fine. Everything actually worked out fine. And then if it didn't work out fine, you could look back on it and say, that was dope for me to try out. I was fearless. I took the risk. So.
And again, taking on risks, experimenting with things, going in directions where other people haven't been. I think that's the cornerstone of what the entrepreneurial mindset is all about. And you did allude to that in the presentation in the very beginning. So I'm going to just read out a question that I had written. So this is more formal because I've written this one. Starting and running Krystallized Makeovers takes both creativity and business acumen. So with that, can you highlight the creativity aspect and then the business aspect separately? Just help us understand what the business is all about.
Yeah. So can you elaborate on the creativity?
Sure. So the business that you're running right now, there's a creativity element to it, but there's a hardcore business element to it. If you can elaborate on both of them, because oftentimes they do not go hand in hand.
Right. So for the creative aspect, it's me playing around in colors and having fun, right? I always tell my clients that while I'm doing makeup, it literally feels like a free therapy session because I love doing it and I forget about the world that's around me. Now, sometimes with it being a business, there is such thing as burnout, right? Where I believe that I felt like I was just doing this to get by, to make money, like literally pushing and pushing and pushing. And I say to get out of that space and to try to mesh the two, both creative and business aspect together, is to, again, set boundaries, but also have conversations with those that you really, really trust, with mentors, family members that you trust, and let them know, like, hey, like, this doesn't feel fun anymore. Like, how can I bring this back to a space where I'm genuinely enjoying the creative aspect, but also keeping the professionalism and running this business effectively?
Okay, and then along those lines, like how do you actually acquire more business?
Yeah.
What does that process look like?
Yeah, so a lot of people would see the rooms that I'm in and the spaces that I get the privilege to be in and would think that I've landed. Not the case. Whenever I see certain celebrities in town, or my assistant is like, hey, like, Fashion Week is coming up, because we're not thinking about this stuff when we're actually working, right? Then it's time for us to shoot our shot. What does that look like? I wish I had put a example of one of my messages or one of my emails. But for me, that looks like, hey, my name is Sereena. I'm a 24-year-old makeup artist, the dopest in my city. Would love to do your makeup. Highlight, emphasis, the dopest in my city. People love confidence, and people love to know that, hey, like, I'm going to someone that is accredited and can be trusted with their work. So definitely shooting my shot. That's how I keep the business going. And then also maintaining the relationships with stylists, managers, assistants that I do meet in these rooms, and being a genuinely good person. I know that goes a long way. That's basic, but being a good person goes a long way.
Yes, and I really like the confidence aspect of it because, again, unless you have a support system that is pushing you forward, like that's what entrepreneurs do. They might not have that support system. You might not have allies. You might have more competitors out there. So you have to basically push yourself and whatever. I mean, in your case, clearly, it's the confidence that you are demonstrating to them. First is the confidence, but then it's valuing those relationships with everyone else, right? That's what keeps you in the door. And maybe that's what probably also gets you more recommendations down the line, right?
Yes. I just thought of like when I had first started working with celebrities. I was working with a couple of influencers prior to this, but I remember I had seen that one of my favorite artists was going to be in town, right in Brooklyn, for a show that she was having. Quickly grabbed my phone and said, hey, let me reach out to her manager. Did like very light research. Y'all could literally find this stuff on Instagram. But did light research and was like, let me reach out to her manager. At the time I was about 21 years old. I said, hey, my name is Sereena Morrison. Again, I'm 21 years old. I'm the dopest in my city. I specialize in soft glam. I would love to have the opportunity to do, this person was Jada Kingdom's makeup, right? And with that, the manager reached out to me. He was like, hey, she already has a makeup artist, which he lied about. But he was like, hey, she already has a makeup artist. I was like, okay, cool. Literally within 24 hours, he reached out to me the next day and was like, hey, Sereena, are you available for this time, which was the next hour? Are you available for the next hour to do Jada Kingdom's makeup in Brooklyn? Was I ready? No. But I put on my clothes real quick, packed up the things, and got to the location, right? So, yeah.
And that's what professionalism is, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how, I mean, that's the key to success. I'm pretty sure you had other competing interests at the time, but then you made way for this. And that's how people become successful, right? So this is great. I also want you to relate to us any experiences, especially with failure that you would have had, because I'm sure there would be many failures along the way. Can you give us a few examples?
Yes, so I put it on one of the slides, but I remember in 2020, I was going to U Albany for homecoming. I was like, I'm gonna be outside, this is gonna be fun. And I was like, wait, like, what if I do makeup at U Albany, right? So I had my cousin create a flyer with different faces and work that I've done before, and I was like, I'm gonna charge $40, which to compare, right? Like now I'm charging $130 to $160 per face. But I was like, let me charge $40. I'm just now starting off. So I promoted it heavy, y'all. Like, I was like, Krystallized Makeovers is coming to a town near you. That goes back to the language, right? Made it a thing where it's like, this is valuable, and this valuable person is coming to my city. So I was like, Krystallized Makeovers coming to a town near you, $40 for your face, any look that you want, any eyeshadow that you want. I get there, and nobody books me. And I'm like, oh. Like, that's cute. Mind you, I wasn't really concerned about that because I was outside regardless. But that was one thing that I promoted heavily and can say that I failed publicly, which many people, we don't like to fail publicly, right? But that was one thing where I was like, you know what, like, it is what it is. I'll be able to look back on this one day and say, like, this happened, but it was a good thing that happened.
Absolutely, and this is a perfect example of, you're really good creatively, right? That's the asset that you have. But then, as an entrepreneur, you have to sell your service. That's a very different skill set, right? Being a makeup artist is a job in and of itself. But now you have to kind of sell that business, especially when you're not as well known in a certain community, right?
Yes. That made me think of the fact that sometimes people look at hairstylists, makeup artists, nail techs, and they say, you just do makeup, right? Which that could be very true, right? But the way that you promote and brand yourself is important. Yes, I do makeup, but I also do public speaking. Yes, I do makeup, but I take really dope shots with my camera, like making myself a package in which I'm not just the makeup artist, right? I add different things to rooms that maybe another makeup artist wouldn't necessarily add.
And I think that becomes your competitive advantage, because then you are specializing in multiple services that are required at that very moment, as opposed to just focusing on one, right?
Yeah, I just thought about something too that I'd say, like, another example of adding value to what you already have. So I remember this was literally maybe like 2 years ago, very recent. I was going to do someone's makeup, and he's a celebrity. Grooming, if you guys don't know, men do get their makeup done, like a lot of celebrities, for for red carpets and stuff. So I was doing grooming and touch-ups on him, and I remember going there, and the amount that I was charging, I charged the regular price, which in my head I still was like, ooh, this is a lot to just literally cover up a little bit of acne on the face, right? So what I did was I saw on my dresser rather, my friend maybe like 2 months prior had bought me little eye mask for under my face, literally like $5, right? And I bought that to the service, and I dragged the service out. I worked with what I had, and I made it more valuable, put the patches under his eye, took my time with things. The difference on the other side would have been me just coming in, doing foundation, and leaving. But I added more value to the service so that this person could remember me and say, like, hey, she really took her time when she did my face.
And I think those are the kinds of experiences that people then, that's what gets you repeat business. That's what spreads that good word, because, so that's extremely important. As you were mentioning this, I was thinking about, like, how do you actually price the services? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, they struggle with this idea, am I overcharging? And that's a fear. People would rather undercharge themselves as opposed to even ask what they think the fair price is, because maybe they do not have that confidence, they don't have that track record yet. So did you struggle with this? And if not, that's fine too, but whatever your experience was, we would like to know.
Yeah, when I first started off, I was charging maybe $30, $45 a face, which is a little bit of money, right? And one thing that I realized that really helped me along the way was comparing my prices to other competitors or other people that were in the same industry as me, right? So going on Instagram, looking through people's booking sites, right? And seeing, okay, if this person is charging this amount of money and their work is similar to mine, or maybe they're somewhere in their career that's similar to mine, I should be charging the same amount. And then in introspect, before I was a celebrity makeup artist, when I saw celebrity makeup artists booking site, I would compare it and try to make it look similar to theirs, but not the same price. So I literally would, if a travel service to going to someone to do their makeup was $1,000, I would subtract maybe 300 and make it 700, just so that I'm able to compare and really gauge out my prices correctly.
Okay. And then is your business focused just on celebrities, or is it for like regular people too?
Regular people. It's for celebrities and regular people. Definitely, yeah. Like I had a client this morning, and she was going to her graduation pictures, so it's for both.
It's for both. Okay.
But,
and then would the prices differ, or would they remain the same?
oh no, they stay the same.
Okay.
Yeah, they stay the same. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a restaurant, right? And you go in and you look at the menu and there's no prices next to it. I'm like, that's a red flag, right? Because why are you picking and choosing what to charge me based on the day or like based on whatever? So the price definitely stays the same. But I also realize that with certain services, only celebrities are gonna book them because they might be over a certain price for the regular person. I hate to say that, but the regular person.
Okay, okay. And then can you highlight, like, do you have any mentors at this moment, especially as it comes to your business endeavors? And again, if you have them, we would like to know more about that.
Sure. So I do have one mentor, and her name is Ashley Britton. She's actually a business coach. She specializes in financial literacy and financial empowerment. So whenever I need advice, whenever I need help, I definitely reach out to her. I FaceTime her like, yo, like, I need help. I have this business idea. Do you think this is the right time for this? What's the market looking like? So Ashley Britton would definitely be.
And how did you get in touch with her?
Yeah, so I actually met her at my church.
Okay.
I met her at my church, and I loved what she was doing. I loved how passionate she was. I loved how great she was at public speaking. And I went up to her. I was like, hey, like, I would love to be mentored by you. So that's how the relationship really started, and it flowed naturally.
So along those lines, can you then highlight the importance of networking and always networking?
Yeah, one thing about people that are usually successful is that they never stop learning. They're always a student. And to remain in the posture of a student as someone who is willing to serve and help other people along the way, that's one thing that's extremely crucial and important when seeking mentorship and also when having a mentor. So for many of her events that she would go to, she'd be like, hey, like, do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And I didn't realize that me being there, doing basic things like writing up receipts or helping her out with getting her a water, right? Serving her in that way. I had no clue that that would help me and where my business is today. So I'd say serving someone, helping, and being willing and open to being a student forever is extremely crucial and important when having a mentor.
Okay, great. And then on the flip side, if I were to ask you, have there been any negative influences? You know, because that's part of life. Did you ever have like negative influences as it comes, but in the context of your business, obviously? And if there's none, that's actually a good thing.
I wouldn't say negative influences, right? Because I've been pretty protective of my business and of like what I ingest for a very long time. So I haven't had negative influences necessarily, but I did have some people along the way that little business my business that were like, oh, so
elaborate on that, because
yeah.
that's an important point, because a lot of entrepreneurs actually face that.
Yeah, so that meant I was in school full-time doing sociology and Black studies, studied abroad in Ghana, like did all these grand and big things, and once graduated, had people like, so what are you doing? You should probably get a job. And I'm like, wait, hold on, like I'm making more money than you with makeup artistry, right? And I actually love what I do. So I guess like little voices like that would be, I guess, negative voices. I wouldn't say influences because they didn't really influence me. So those are some things along the way that I really had to just like turn a blind eye to.
And where did you get the confidence to do that? Because this was happening at a younger age, when you probably did not have a lot of experience.
So this sounds really bad. But whenever I would get advice like that, I look at the person that I'm speaking to and really like check their track record.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
don't speak to me about something that you ain't ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a millionaire, if you're maybe where I want to be, if you're in the arts, if you're creative, then maybe I might just, take it and be like, okay. But if you're in a space that's completely different from that, like, why would I take your advice? Why would I look at it as credible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that really helped me. And then also realizing that my path is different.
Yes.
And it's something that I may have never seen before, especially with, again, being in a Caribbean household and doing things normally, right? So just understanding that I might be one of the first for many,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not something I've seen before, but it's gonna get done.
And again, many a times you'll actually find people who probably have even your best interest in their mind, but they're just misguided, right? Because they might not understand what you want to do, right? So that could be the case as well. People who really want you to be successful, but they just do not have those tools and they do not have that experience.
Yeah, and I say it's important to speak with people that can see a seed but see a tree at the same time, right? Like, oftentimes people play by the books and they follow the rules because it's safe, and by follow the rules I mean don't embark on their entrepreneurial journey because it could be risky. Oftentimes those are the people that can't necessarily see a tree or fruit when you're just at a seed. So I'd say surrounding yourself with people like that is super important, that speak life into you prior to you being where you'd like to be in life.
Okay, good. And then you are obviously operating in a very competitive space. So talk to us about how you perceive your competition, and how do you deal with it, and then how do you still remain successful despite you having to compete with your peers, essentially.
Yeah, I'd say competition only happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top.
That's great.
So when I see my fellow makeup artists just thriving and doing, one of my friends, she just did Thames the other day and she's traveling to Paris and all these different locations. I'm like, I'm gonna support you until it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
There is enough money out here for everyone to succeed,
right.
and for everyone to get theirs, right? So I'd say waiting my turn and not being afraid to show up and show love when it comes to seeing people that are in the spaces that where I'd want to be.
Yes.
And that's an active thing because, again, I started off saying that I have not landed. I'm nowhere near where I'd love to be, and for some they'd see me doing celebrities and say like, oh, like you're doing great, right? But there's people that I look up to that are doing far greater and things that I'd love to see happen, and I just gotta wait my turn and show love.
Great, and like in life, not everything is a zero-sum game, right? So maybe the competition isn't out there. Maybe those are partnerships that you can establish, and genuinely trying to help people, and maybe hopefully they help you someday too. That's how everyone grows, right? So I actually absolutely agree. And I think you put it really well, that competition is at the very bottom. At the top, it's more collaboration. And I personally have experienced some of that in my own life as well. So that's a very valuable insight. Okay, so I would like to know, like, again, the industry that you're in, it's in line with fashion. These trends change all the time. How do you make yourself at the forefront of these changes all the time? Because you might develop an expertise right now, and 3 months from now, the trends would probably change. So how do you make sure that you're evolving in this rapidly evolving industry?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said about always being a student, all right? For me, where I'm at, like with knowing what my specialty is and knowing that I love soft glam specifically, I wouldn't necessarily change that, but one thing that I would do is implement different techniques and things that might be trending now to help with the process and to speed it up. And people want to be in and out of the chair, right? They want to know that I can get my makeup done at a certain time and be done at this specific time. So I'd say when it comes to trends and changes for now would be more so about ensuring that things happen quickly and efficiently, and using updated brushes and things that are new to make the process a lot shorter, as opposed to going with the trends are doing, with what the trends are doing.
Great, great. I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A with the students. So, personally and professionally, what are your goals at this moment as you experience your life, personally and professionally? So, let's say for the next 3 to 5 years, what do you foresee doing?
Yeah, so professionally, I would love to go on tours with celebrities and artists and go to different islands and locations that I haven't necessarily been to. I'd love to tour with an African artist, because that's my gateway to do what I love, to travel and do makeup and get paid while doing it. Like, I'm just like, that's a dream that I'm praying happens before the end of this year. I look back on that video and be like, it happened.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the goals that I have, to travel and to tour more, to be bi-coastal and go to different locations. And then another one would be to have a master class in different cities to expand my influence from just Westchester, New York, and to be able to go to places like LA or Atlanta and have a master class there and have people wanting to glean from my skills. Personally, I love within, well, I don't even want to say 3 to 5 years, because I need to do this now. I'd love to be more active, work out more, focus more on my health, my literal health, and ensuring that that's a priority. When in entrepreneurship, sometimes it's wake up at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., have your first meal at 6 p.m., right? Because that's one of the things I'm like, wait, did you drink water today? Like, that's one of the things that tend to happen. So really just being mindful of my personal health and making sure I'm catering to that first.
Absolutely. I think that's really good advice. Making sure you get your workout in, your meals, most important, sleep, right? That's extremely important, because unless your brain is functioning, you cannot perform at your best, right? So this is great. Let's give her a round of applause. These are some really good responses. I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. So who has our first question? Go ahead.
I was wondering how you gained your celebrity clients. You mentioned reaching out yourself, but was it also networking, word of mouth? How did you gain the celebrity specifically?
So for me, it was mostly shooting my shot, right? I was tired of waiting for things to come to me. And although I knew that, hey, I might not be at a specific space or following or whatever in my business, let me just try. It doesn't hurt to try. So a majority of my celebrity clientele came from shooting my shot, staying in those rooms and being in those rooms, and really just being able to offer my services beyond that, right? So if I was doing a celebrity space, or for instance, Power, working with the cast of Power, if I knew that they would be in the city for a while, that meant starting a conversation with one of the cast members and saying hey, you need your makeup done tomorrow? What's happening tomorrow? What are your plans for the rest of your stay in New York City? What does that look like? Shooting my shot in that way really helped with having celebrity clientele.
In the beginning, what was your first sign of progress that made you confident in your business, and what did you do with it?
That is a really good question. I'd say my first sign of progress was something that was literal, looking at my social media and watching it grow. That was one thing that was super rewarding, because sometimes when we're consistent and we're posting daily, it's nah, nobody's not watching me, right? But watching those numbers grow and watching people from different states and regions commenting on my things and saying hey, I loved it, I love the faces that you're doing, that really helped with my confidence. It helped with validating what I was doing. Sometimes you can't see the full vision of a thing because you're too close to it. And I believe that having someone that was in different locations, literally, and people commenting helped me back up a bit and see hey, I'm actually doing my thing. So that helped tremendously.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm in the back. My name is Dana, by the way. So you had expressed before that you've had moments where you've hit walls in your passion. You had used the term like burnout more specifically. So when you have moments like those, what like tactics did you implement to reignite that fire for yourself so that you fall back in love with your business?
That's a great question. So the first time that happened was 2021. I was very overwhelmed. I literally felt like a robot. For people that are creative, doing the same thing every day, it so feel good. Like I didn't like it, right? So in that moment, I was like, I texted my best friend. I was like, yo, like I'm actually about to never pick up a brush again. And she was like, girl, are you crazy? Like what? But I was very serious. I was like, hey, I might not ever do this again. And she talked some sense into me. She's like, okay, like, let's backtrack. Let's see where we can adjust. Let's see what might be going wrong. And in that instance, it was me not setting boundaries and being a yes man, right? And responding to every message as soon as I could and being at the dinner table like, wait, hold on, I gotta text back this client. Not setting those boundaries really led to burnout. So in that specific moment, reaching out to someone that I trusted and could confide in really helped with me reigniting that passion. I also took a 3-month break. This was at the beginning of my career, right? And I was like, hey, like, will the clients keep coming? Like, I wasn't sure, but I knew that it was something that was necessary. So I stopped taking bookings. I still kept posting on social media, but I was like, hey, like, I need a break. And sometimes the solution to burnout is literally just take a break. You know, we're not created to just go. But that helped tremendously in that time.
Hi, my name is Chloe. My question is, like, when you were starting with celebrity makeup, did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you? And like, if you did, like, how did you deal with that pressure?
Absolutely. So I had mentioned before that when you get into these rooms, sometimes there are people that are, again, they're thermometers. So if the celebrity is right here, they right here, right? They're yes men. They speak in high-pitched voices. As y'all can see, I'm very mellow. I'm very serene. I'm calm. That's not me. But when going into these spaces, I realized, like, I'm going to be me. And if the opportunity don't come again, that's cool. At least I know I was me, right? And then it goes back to really just being comfortable with your identity, knowing what you stand for and what you are not willing to budge on. Like, another example, like sometimes when I'm in these rooms, it gets dark. Like, it gets dark with these celebs. Like, it gets dark, to say the least, right? And it's important to stand flat-footed and be like, hey, like, I'm gonna like steer away from that and be who I am. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I just have one question. My name is Jordan, and I was curious, what about the art of makeup captivates you so much?
I think bringing beauty to light in a different way, and especially beating the odds and hearing people say, like, I've had terrible makeup experiences. Every time I get my makeup done, I hate it. There's something inside of me that's like, I want to change that experience for you. Like, what can I do to make this different? It goes back to being solution-oriented and having that entrepreneurial mindset. Like, I want to change that experience for whoever I'm working with. So that's one thing that really pushes me and makes me want to continue with makeup.
Hi again. So when you were coming out of the transition of being a beginner into like more of a professional, what did you do for your followers, your page, and just like the way that you promoted your business? Like, how did you change that so others, the newcomers that came to your page, knew that you were no longer a beginner?
That is a really good question. So when I first started, my booking site was my DMs. DM me, text me if you want to be like $40, whatever. Then as I grew, certain things that work when you're having 20 clients as opposed to 2,000, like certain things that worked in that season wasn't gonna work for where I was in that season, so in the new season. So naturally, building a business site and making sure that people could book directly as opposed to texting me, because those were things that I put up to prevent myself from being overwhelmed and burnt out. So implementing those things and then switching up the language. So before I was a celebrity makeup artist, my bio said aspiring celebrity makeup artist. Before that, it was $40 beats, holla holla, who wants? Like, right? So that was the difference. Like, there was a shift. There was I'm established and I'm establishing myself. So language, rates also. So the amount that you charge is the type of client that's going to come into your chair, right? I'm not gonna elaborate on that, but you get what I mean, right? So if you're charging $150, those type of clients will come into your chair as opposed to $40. So raising my prices and doing things like that really helped with reestablishing and establishing myself as a celebrity makeup artist.
Hi, sorry, gotta hear my voice again. So I wanted to ask, so given the fact that you're working directly on the consumer in a cosmetic field, I'm sure that there are instances where you come face to face with dissatisfaction on behalf of the client. So how do you advocate for yourself in situations where the client isn't satisfied, or how do you prevent yourself from getting discouraged in those situations?
That's a really good question. So I'd say for me, having discernment and identifying, okay, where is this discontentment coming from, right? Like, and when did it start? I know sometimes, because this was me, I'd sit in a chair and hate my makeup and leave and tell the makeup artist that I love it, right? So this doesn't necessarily work for everybody. But for those that just want their money back, like really being able to discern whether or not this is really the reason why you don't like your face, or I just want to get money out of you. Regardless, I'm giving the money back because you know where I stay, right? So just really, again, like the word is really discernment, and that comes with experience. I really would take it to heart at first. You don't like your makeup? Like, what do you mean? I put my heart into this. But it comes with experience and learning, like, okay, who really is genuine and who doesn't have my best interest at heart.
I don't have a question, but I have a quick statement. So I've actually been a client of Sereena's before, and let me tell you, she know how to beat a face, ladies, okay? So if y'all really need someone in the Westchester area, she is someone to go to, okay? What I will say, just to, basically give another comment back to what you just said, right, the discernment piece. One thing that I noticed about Sereena in her process of doing my makeup is that she was entirely super empathetic throughout my whole makeup experience with her. Not only did she try to create a relationship with me and try to actually figure out who I was, that's how she's able to figure out exactly what colors I wanted to have on my face. What eyeshadow, did I want to have an eyelash or no eyelash? How natural did I want my makeup to come out, right? And I think being able to, go back to that place is what allows her to be able to create the clientele base that she does, as well as being able to excel in her business the way that she does.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's actually a really good point that
Yeah.
Janae made, having that empathy towards your customers. You're doing it for them, right? You have your own vision, yes, you have your own vision, you're the expert, but you're doing it for them. So factoring in their position is extremely important.
Yes, and people will always remember, just like Janae, they'll always remember how you make them feel, right? So when being a service provider, I'm very aware that most of the people that's coming in, it's their birthday dinner, they probably stressed, their boyfriend just broke up with them. I have a baby shower, it's my wedding day. High intensity environments where people could come in being stressed. How can I bring to them a serene experience in which they're calm, they're mellow, they forget about their worries while they're getting their makeup done? It's more than just doing a face, but it's being present and having conversations with people, being delicate with my hand movements, and just creating a space that really keeps it mellow and calm. But don't fall asleep though, keep it mellow and calm.
Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Bruno. Who is your biggest inspiration in life and in your industry?
Great question. So for makeup artistry, I'd have to say Vanessa Myricks. I love her beauty products. Like they're tea, like they're so good. So Vanessa Myricks, I just love how kind and personable she is just through her social media presence. So that'd be that from the business aspect. And then in life in general, I have to say my parents, super cliche, but I have to say my parents, they came from Jamaica and had nothing, and they built from the ground up. And to see them just be able to see the fruit of what they've planted is a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
So, Sereena, it was a pleasure talking to you. We are very grateful that we could have you here today with us. Let's give a warm round of applause.